Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Monday, May 15th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Monday in Major League Baseball. First up, we see the New York Mets taking on the Washington Nationals. David Peterson and Patrick Corbin are your projected starters in this one. Now, you got two lefties on the mound, and I honestly think that Patrick Corbin is the better option here compared to David Peterson. Corbin's really improved his game as the season's gone along. I mean, his last start, 6 innings, only 2 runs allowed. It's a quality start. The game before that, 7 innings, only 2 earned runs allowed. Another quality start there. Facing a New York Mets team has not been great against left-handed pitchers this season. And in the last 2 weeks, they're 20th in isolated power, 24th in team OPS. While the Nationals, they are top 10 in baseball in team OPS against lefties, facing a struggling lefty and David Peterson, who's 1-5 with that 7+ ERA, 7.68. He's given up 8 earned runs in his last 8 1/3 innings. His strikeouts have been fine, but you're playing a Nationals team that does a really good job at limiting strikeouts. So we know these teams are playing basically a doubleheader on Sunday, so the bullpens are going to be pretty much chewed through in that doubleheader. I don't really love this Nationals bullpen, so I'd rather just isolate this game to the first 5 innings when we know these starting pitchers are going to be in. So give me the Nationals in the first 5 innings plus a half a run. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Shohei Ohtani and Grayson Rodriguez are your projected starters. Now, we have a pretty good pitching matchup on paper in terms of the names. You got Shohei Ohtani, one of the best pitchers in baseball. You got Grayson Rodriguez, although he's struggling a little bit to start the year. He's still one of the top pitching prospects in baseball, prospects overall in the MLB. So, naturally, you're going to see a low total for a game like this when you see these two strong pitching names. But I still think because of that low total, we're getting some value on the over. It opened up at 7.5 runs. Now it's up to 8 runs. I think we get over this number. Shohei Ohtani's last few games, although he's still missing bats and still pitching pretty well, he's given up a good amount of home runs as of late. We saw him give up another home run in his last game against Martin Maldonado in the Houston Astros. 3 earned runs allowed, 6 base hits, 2 walks in that game. The Orioles do a really good job at limiting strikeouts. They do get on base at a really solid rate, even though their OPS and isolated power numbers are a little bit better against lefties and righties. I still think they can get to Shohei in this game. Grayson Rodriguez, like I mentioned, he's struggling so far in his first few games at the big league level. His last start was a little bit concerning. I thought his fastball velocity was down quite a bit, and the Tampa Bay Rays were able to get to him for 2 home runs and 7 base hits in that one, and he's given up 5 home runs now in his last 2 starts. Not what you really want to see. His strikeout numbers have also dipped a little bit in the last 2 games. That's really, a big concern for me. The Angels have done a really good job against right-handed pitchers. They're limiting strikeouts. They have good power numbers. They've obviously got some of the better hitters in baseball in their lineup. So I think we're going to see a high-scoring game here, enough to get us over this total. So give me the over in Angels-Orioles. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Boston Red Sox. We're going to see Tanner Houck and George Kirby on the mound in this one. George Kirby, although he's pitching well this season, he pitched well last year, he has struggled against the Boston Red Sox. We saw it in 2022, where both at Seattle and in Fenway Park, Kirby struggled against Boston, and this year's lineup is a lot better, especially against right-handed pitchers. I do think the Red Sox can get to Kirby, even though they're coming off that Sunday night baseball game. They didn't have to travel. They played at Fenway Park on Sunday, so I don't think it's really going to affect them in this game. And Kirby, like I mentioned, last year at Fenway Park, 5 innings, 5 earned runs, 2 home runs. The Red Sox in the last 2 weeks, one of the best lineups in baseball against right-handed pitchers. They limit strikeouts. They have a good team OPS and isolated power. So I do think Kirby struggles, and Tanner Houck, although he's not my favorite option to back, he's facing a Mariners team that against right-handed pitchers, 21st in baseball the last 2 weeks in both team OPS and isolated power. I'll take the Boston Red Sox here on the money line at home. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays hosting the New York Yankees. We're going to see Johnny Brito and Alek Manoah on the mound in this game. I don't really trust either of these options on the mound. Johnny Brito has given up a lot of home runs as of late, a 5.81 ERA so far this season. When the Yankees lineup themselves is starting to heat it up quite a bit, especially with Judge back in the lineup. So Alek Manoah has got an ERA above 7 at Rogers Center this season, just has not pitched well at home. His advanced numbers aren't really the most promising either. He's not really striking out a ton of guys, only 32 Ks in 41 innings, 25 walks to go with it. His control's been off, and he's occasionally given up the sharp contact and home run balls. So I think the Yankees and Blue Jays put up a lot of runs in this game, potentially a lot of runs in this series. I'm going to take the over in Game 1 in this one. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Jack Flaherty and Freddie Peralta on the mound in this one. Now, there's no doubt the St. Louis Cardinals are starting to improve quite a bit. They're picking up some W's. However, I just don't love this spot for them. I think it's a pretty bad spot overall. Jack Flaherty has not been pitching well. He's at a 6.18 ERA this season, giving up a lot of base hits. He's given up at least 7 base hits in each of his last 3 games. A lot of earned runs, of course, and home runs, as well as walks, and he's not really picking up the strikeouts as of late. So that concerns me against a solid Milwaukee Brewers lineup, but also you're facing Freddie Peralta, who pitched well against the Cardinals already this year. 6 innings of one run ball with 7 strikeouts and a 6-1 Brewers win. And you got the fact that the Cardinals are coming off the Sunday Night Baseball game at Fenway Park. They have to go from Fenway in Boston to St. Louis. Teams that are traveling after a Sunday Night Baseball game playing on Monday have really struggled. It's a system we've done pretty well with fading those teams, and St. Louis fits the bill. Give me the Milwaukee Brewers here on the money line. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the San Francisco Giants. We're going to see Bailey Falter and Alex Wood on the mound in this one. Now, just like we look to fade the team playing on Sunday Night Baseball in their next game on Monday, I'm looking to fade the Coors Field team. A team plays at Coors Field one day, they move on to another stadium the next day with no days of rest. I'm looking to fade that team, particularly their offense, and that's the Philadelphia Phillies. They play at Coors Field on Sunday, now having to play against the Giants on Monday night. And Alex Wood's a sharp option on the mound for San Francisco. Got a 2.45 ERA in limited work this season, some of those games being out of the bullpen. But overall, the Philadelphia Phillies have not done too well against left-handed pitchers in the last 2 weeks or so, especially when you look at the team OPS department, where Philadelphia is ranked 27th in the league. Strikeout percentage at 28.2% is the 3rd highest in the league, and the walk percentage at 2.7% is the lowest in baseball. So I think Alex Wood, even if he only goes a couple innings, should pitch well here. San Francisco's bullpen a lot better than what most people think. And Bailey Falter has not been very good this season for the Philadelphia Phillies. 5.75 ERA, 0-6 record. The Phillies lose a lot of the games he pitches in. He's given up 5 earned runs, 4 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 3 and 5 in his last 5 games. Home runs galore, a lot of base hits. Even though the Giants have not been great against lefties, they're improving and they're limiting strikeouts. They're putting together a lot better at-bats as of late. I think they get to Falter. I like this matchup for San Francisco at a pretty solid price as well. Give me the San Francisco Giants on the money line. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the Houston Astros. Framber Valdez and Jameson Taillon are your starters. And the Cubs, we saw them lose 16-3 on Sunday and 11-1 on Saturday. 2 back-to-back blowout losses for Chicago against the Twins. But I think that this could be a good bounce-back spot facing a left-handed pitcher in Framber Valdez, who has had some issues giving up sharp contact this year. He's giving up, and that's not really what you want to see from a guy like Framber, who's a ground ball pitcher. He's given up at least 1 home run in 3 of his last 4 starts. And against lefties, the Cubs, although they're struggling against right-handed pitchers, they're actually hitting lefties pretty well in the last couple of weeks, where Chicago's ranked 12th in baseball in team OPS, and they're 13th in isolated power, so definitely above league average there. Their strikeout percentage is a little bit high, but so is their walk percentage, so I do think that this could be a spot that Chicago's offense wakes up. Jameson Taillon is a right-handed starter. We know the Houston Astros have struggled against righties for the most part in 2023. I think he's better than his current ERA. I like the fact that he's got 25 strikeouts in 19 2/3 innings. So this is a big price to lay. I'm going to take the Chicago Cubs, getting those 1.5 runs with a little bit of a sprinkle on the money line in this one. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Texas Rangers. Charlie Morton should be going for Atlanta. No official starter for the Rangers. Could be a bullpen game led by Dane Dunning for the Rangers. I'm leaning towards Atlanta in this game. Not my favorite game. Right now, we don't even have a line for this one. But, Charlie Morton's been pitching well. I like the fact that he's starting to really pick up some strikeouts against teams that really do a good job of limiting those strikeouts. So, against the Boston Red Sox last game, 7 Ks through 6. Against the New York Mets before that one, 6 strikeouts in 5 1/3. His control's been off here and there, but I like the fact that he's really starting to miss those bats a lot more than he was at the beginning of the season. And, like I said, the Rangers probably going to go with a bullpen game here. It's not really been the best bullpen this season, especially as of late. So, although it was a very disappointing weekend for the Braves in Toronto, and it's a tough road spot to go from, a travel spot from Toronto to Texas, I still think the Braves are the better option here. So give me the Atlanta Braves and a lean on the money line. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field. We should see Hunter Green and Connor Seabold on the mound in this one. Although the Reds only scored 1 run on Sunday against Miami, Their offense has actually been pretty solid as of late. They scored 6 runs and 7 runs in the other games in that series. They were competitive against the New York Mets in that series at Great American Ballpark, and I think they're going to be able to do some damage here against the Rockies bullpen and Connor Seabold in this game. And Hunter Green, although his last couple of games had some issues with the long ball, overall this season he's done a much better job at keeping the ball on the ground, limiting that sharp contact. Only 4 home runs allowed in 39 innings of work this season, with 51 strikeouts to go with it. I think he's a much better option on the mound. I think the Reds have the better lineup and bullpen to go with it. So at a solid price on the road, give me the Cincinnati Reds on the money line. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Oakland Athletics. Should be Merrill Kelly going for Arizona. And I'm seeing Drew Rosinski on MLB.com. I'm seeing Kyle Muller on ESPN. To me, you got one guy with an ERA above 7, one guy with an ERA above 8. One's a lefty, one's a righty, but I still think Arizona will be fine in this game offensively no matter who they face. I think Merrill Kelly's also going to pitch really well in this game, and that's the big thing for me is, I'm willing to lay the 1.5 runs with Arizona. Arizona does a great job of limiting strikeouts. They're a very competitive lineup. We saw them play pretty solid baseball against the Giants in that series this weekend, and I like their chances to get a nice win over Oakland in this game. I think they're going to be able to get to the Oakland Athletics bullpen also, so give me the Arizona Diamondbacks. Not the best price, but I like them to win this game big. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the San Diego Padres. Brad Keller and Michael Wacha are your starters. I like the Padres to win this game. I also like the over in this one. You have Brad Keller on the mound for Kansas City. Walks a ton of batters, doesn't really strike out many guys, gives up a good amount of sharp contact, and his ERA is still at 4.31, which is not too shabby, but I expect some major regression for him going forward. I think the Padres get to him. This has been a lineup that's been struggling as of late, facing those Dodgers starters and relievers. I think this could be a breakout series. It's certainly a breakout game for San Diego offensively. Michael Wacha has been a lot better as of late. I still think Kansas City could put a few runs on the board on him early on in this game, but I like San Diego to win it in the end. Give me the over in Kansas City, San Diego, with the Padres on the run line as well. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers, the final game for Monday's card in Major League Baseball. Pablo Lopez and Noah Syndergaard are your starters. And to me, we only see the Dodgers as small favorites at home in this game. And I think for good reason. I think Pablo Lopez is the much better option on the mound here. And the Twins offense really woke up in a big way on Saturday and Sunday. 11 runs on Saturday, 16 on Sunday. Hitting right-handed pitchers very well and for a lot of power. And Noah Syndergaard, not really the same guy, same pitcher that he was with the Mets at one point. Only 21 strikeouts in 32 1/3 innings this season. We saw him more of an opener in his last game against the Milwaukee Brewers, only going 1 inning in that game. I think the Minnesota Twins offense has another strong day here. And Pablo Lopez, he was struggling quite a bit, giving up a lot of home runs, and he gave up 5 earned against the Nationals, 6 earned against the Royals. His last 2 games, 2 earned runs in 7 innings against the White Sox with 8 strikeouts. The next game, 6 1/3, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. Lopez has been a lot sharper as of late. So give me the Minnesota Twins at a really solid price, basically an even money price on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday in the MLB. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bet, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.